let's start off. Let's start off with the first one.
Okay. 10% tax decrease. No, we've already voted. These are the new things. Article 1, language change.
Article 1, yeah.
What is it? Where's the meat of the? There's no context in any of these cells. What is the?
I'm gonna put it in the Constitution changes channel. So there was one sentence that said the worst that could happen is you get removed from Arkology because there originally was no prison system.
So Article 1, introduction, right? This document intends to establish and quantify the rights, rules, and conditions for participating, constructing, and cooperating within Arkology. The Bill of Rights and non-aggression principle will be strictly followed with the city. So the addition to this is all punishments for violations of this contract are listed in Article 13, Article 14, and Article 21. I mean, if that's true, you have my vote.
All right. I may be missing the where it says if property sits vacant or unused for 180 days. That's technically a punishment, right?
I would say so.
Because you're auctioning the property that's sitting vacant.
I mean, yeah.
So I could just add Article 17 on there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one, the freedom of speech, right to bear arms. We don't have to read it, I guess.
Okay.
So the restricted speech is, I think, fair. It specifies murder, which is pretty serious. That's something you shouldn't be doing. Something that shouldn't be acceptable. I think if you incite someone to assault someone else, I think that is a little bit more acceptable because, like, bruises heal, right? So, and then harassment is already criminalized, so I included that in the restricted speech.
So can we remove the anti-tank rocket launchers at age 40?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Another thing is that we might want to we might want to add like some like a direct quotation of the Bill of Rights, like just in case in some kind of dystopian future, like there like the Congress actually gets enough votes to change what the First and Second Amendment says. Now, if it gets to that point, then I'm assuming I'm probably in a bunker somewhere because the Capitol is on fire. But yeah,
I don't know. That's pretty unlikely. Say like the Bill of Rights as of year so and so.
I suppose so.
I forget when it was, like 1980 some or 1780 something.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed, I don't think, since they wrote it.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of thinking of all possible outcomes, which include some pretty pessimistic ones. What if the internet goes offline and all the libraries are up in flames? And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, to be fair, this is like such a like a doomer scenario at this point that like I think it might be worth just like having it word for word. But like you can also put in like the First and Second Amendment as of some year.
Effective date.
I mean, it already it specifies the United States.
But does it specify the version of the Bill of Rights? Like Rev?
Like in case it changes in the future. Like it hasn't changed so far, but
actually it doesn't specify the United States Bill of Rights. I thought it did. I mean, that would be a good addition.
There you go.
Because the United States Bill of Rights hasn't really changed since it was written.
I don't know. I'd have to look that one up. I know they've changed. They've made small changes even to the Constitution. Like it's I don't know. I'd have to look that one up. They might have added some things, texture, context, in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making myself an omelet here.
Ooh, omelets are good.
Yes.
So I think just specifying the United States would probably be good for that. I don't think the internet's gonna go down and like we're gonna have thermonuclear war and all that stuff, and everyone's gonna forget what the Bill of Rights are.
Yeah, that should be good. If we see the world start heating up, like I don't know, maybe if we go to direct war with China, then maybe we can consider it again. But like for now, it should be good.
Yeah, if we like had something like that for every single point, the Constitution would be like really fat and a pain in the ass to read. You know. There's a certain level of literary assumptions, I guess you could say. Anywho, let's do Article 13. All that changed was the serious assault I added, and then the incitement to murder or violent revolution. So, the serious assault up to 3 years imprisonment, which is pretty long, but that's if you like beat someone into near death, pretty much. Most assaults, I would say, is under a year, I think is fair. And then incitement to murder or violent revolution up to 6 months. So, I could add eligible for removal on serious assault too. I don't know why I didn't do that. I just didn't think of throwing that in.
Yeah, that sounds good. Wait, just a question. To what extent are we legally right? I guess we are right. Are we gonna be working this like within the confines of U.S. law, or are we gonna try and create are we going to try and secede basically?
Yeah, we're basically seceding. So like the ideal scenario is that we would be operating our own like Social Security is the big one, like Social Security, Medicare. So if you're seceding, you have to replace those, and then you're pretty much in the clear.
I was just wondering, like, if we needed to abide by the U.S. Judicial system, like.
So this is assuming that we have the power to secede. So I wouldn't call it revolutionary because that has bad connotations, but it is very experimental, let's say. Because if we're beholden to U.S. law, then we can't do like 3/4 of what we're talking about, and we're burdened by all of the current existing policies.
Yes.
So I do realize with Article 13, there's going to be a lot of things that kind of get through this net that I'm trying to cast, and in order to like one thing I was thinking is like burglary, and then minor assault if I put serious assault, stuff like that. There's already grand theft, which is kind of like burglary, but it's I don't know, it's not a perfect system, but I don't like leaving it up to a legislature to determine a lot of these things. That's why putting it in the Constitution is nice. I was thinking of taking Article 13 and Article 14 and like putting them as like at the end of the Constitution as like a separate thing. And then like maybe making those 2/3 majority instead of 5/6. But just because this is more, it's like more judicial than anything.
Okay.
But another thing what's weird is in our current system, the jury determines if you're guilty or innocent, and then the judge determines the sentence, which I think doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's like, why is that? Why can't the jury determine the sentence? So that's another thought that kind of popped into my head, but we already have 10 constitutional changes for this summer. And I don't know, maybe I'll wait till next year for a lot of that stuff. Just some thoughts that popped into my head while I was doing all this.
Okay.
But yeah, that's only the 2 things that were added for Article 13. I could add the minor assault, which is like punching someone in the face. I think that would not be considered a serious assault. It would be a minor assault. A serious assault is like hospitalization.
Well, it depends on the severity of the punch and what they're punching them with.
Yeah, that's true. You can knock someone out in one punch.
And what if it's multiple punches?
Yeah, these are all questions that, could be
Maybe
asked.
it's just depending on the severity of the... But then it's also who's being punched. Like, what if they're feeble and, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
With the intent to have severely... I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. This is the law. This is the bananas. This is how it's complicated. Yep.
Judgment, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all shades of gray.
Objective, yeah.
It might be eventually we might get someone who's more informed in law, and they might be able to help us out.
Well, the buck
if you want
stops
to
here.
piggyback off the law, yeah, I'm saying if I don't know if he wants to mirror how the law is right now in America. I mean, at least because it's so flawed. I mean, look at our judicial system; it's so flawed.
Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but it is worth like I don't know,
The
like
jargon.
they would know like all the possible edge cases we'd have to consider, like maybe we something calling something first degree, second degree, something like that.
Got it.
Probably just maybe maybe we could find some sort of libertarian or ANCAP or anarchist lawyer and get them to just say, hey, this is basically what you need for the bare essentials. Like, we would have ultimate say over it, but yeah.
Yeah, I tried to go over the most common offenses. Tried to cover the most common offenses. So, like, another one would be illegal firearm, I guess, now that we have the Article 2. So illegal
Meaning not registered.
Yeah, if you don't have a license. I don't know if we're going to have
Got it.
registry, but... So, that might be another one. But once again, like, if we add 10 more violations to Article 13, it's going to be so long. It's going to mess up the whole thing. So I might just, like, considering putting it at the end.
I think what we can do is that, like, this doesn't necessarily have to be a full legal document. It doesn't have to be, like, a big book of laws. It's like, I guess it can be like the Constitution of the U.S., which doesn't contain every single law that applies, but instead is just more of the most important things, the things we don't want to be changed. And as for, like, firearms, have you heard of 3D printed firearms? They're quite promising.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I do like these actually spelled out, and then they have suggested offenses and suggested penalties. Like, so it's up to the judge and jury for how harsh the penalty is, but then there's a maximum on each one. So, or for a lot of them. So I kind of like how that works. Like, up to X months, up to X years. So, I guess we could do Article 17 then, or did that one look good? 13? I should be taking notes.
Yes.
Yep, 13 looks all right, I think. Let's move on. Yeah.
Okay, Article 17 was just combining two previous articles. Pretty basic. I don't think I deleted anything. Yeah, I was thinking like the surpluses and shortfalls. That doesn't allow us to have like a stack of cash on hand, which isn't the worst thing in the world. So, yeah, it's really just combining two articles to make the document read better. And then the other noteworthy thing was the unused property in here. That's another noteworthy thing.
Could you repeat that?
Your property can only sit vacant for 6 months before it's...
That sounds pretty reasonable. Though I'm gonna try and think of as many exceptions as I can just to see if I can poke some holes in it. What if someone is comatose, like say, so what if like someone has gotten into like some kind of serious accident? They're just comatose in the hospital for more than 6 months, and they're the only occupant of the property. What happens then?
Well, it would be auctioned. So we can make an exception for that. It doesn't have to be, I guess. It just makes it up to it makes it like liable to be auctioned.
Okay. So would the government like say there's like just a bunch of stuff in their apartment? Would that just get stored in a government warehouse somewhere?
Yeah. Like a storage locker or something.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to the world. You've been away for about 12 months. All your stuff is in a storage locker somewhere. You're gonna have to find a new apartment. Yours has been auctioned off. Yeah. I actually do like the idea behind it, even though I'm kind of making fun of it. But yeah, it prevents people from having too many houses at once, unless they buy like 180 houses and has to move every single day. I feel like even that would be annoying.
Yeah. So in my city, there's a lot of vacant property and the owners just kind of like move out of state and forget about it. And then it sits there and the roof caves in and it's covered in like dust and cobwebs and the paint falls off and it just looks like a mess, right? Doesn't do anything for anyone. So that was the reasoning behind it. But then I created this later on. I created the property tax that scales up as you get more property. So that disincentivizes holding on to vacant property because your property tax goes up exponentially. So it might be a little outdated now that I have that other policy. It's hard to say. So, I mean, we could just leave it. It's not hurting anything. Like 6 months is a long time if you're trying to like reorganize something or recategorize something to do something else. Anywho, that was it. Those 4 changes. So my notes say add U.S. to the U.S. Bill of Rights. and then no anti-tank launcher. And I could do maybe add minor assault, something like that.
Yeah. Hey, just a question. How would the military be structured in the Arkology?
That is the Panarchist Constitution, and under the voting, the people can vote for which Panarchist military they want. So there's a market system for military, and the people vote for which alliance you join. So that would be a additional fee for importing and exporting. That's what funds the military. And yeah, hopefully that would keep costs down because there's market forces applied to the military. And it would be like sort of outside. There could be some people who are involved in the military in the Arkology, or it could be mostly outsiders. It could be one or the other.
So it's like so there are a few different militaries and all of them are competing for the vote. So just a question: do they have would they have like firearms outside of the like would they like would these alliances like maintain their own like equipment stashes, or would it be more like if they win the election then they get access to the Arkology's like big bunker full of guns or something?
They'd probably maintain their own.
I'm to be fair, like the US already has a lot of gun owners and that's gone okay so far.
Yeah. So let's say you have, I think in the Panarchist Constitution it says a maximum of 6% tax rate. So if you're importing, I'm just doing some math off the top of my head here. I actually did a whole video on this like a while ago, and the numbers were really, really interesting. I had my tax rate as a maximum of 3%, and that was a little bit too low. But then I increased the maximum to 6%, and you could actually have a similar funded, like a reasonably funded military with like 4 to 6% tax on imports and exports or something like that. So, really interesting video. I'll try and remember to put it in the video description. I did one on the Articles of Syndication, which is the corporate reform, or two of those, and then one on the Panarchist as well. All math and stuff, math calculations for those contracts. The one with the meritocracy, I used Google as an example. And if like you're a head engineer at Google and you're earning these merit tokens, your salary is like $3 million a month or some nonsense like that. So if we had a true meritocracy, the people who write code for Google would be making insane amounts of money. Yeah, because Google scales globally. That's why that's possible. And like you only need 100 people to write code or whatever it is at that corporation. However many talented people, maybe 1,000. Even if it's 1,000, that's still $300,000 a month each. But anyway, I'm getting off topic again. So should we throw in minor assault? I guess we could throw in minor assault. A minor assault would be like what, up to 3 months? Maybe even less than that. Maybe we'll do like up to 1 month. Would that be a good idea, or should we just keep everything under serious?
What do you think? We should?
We could just change serious assault to assault.
Yeah, because serious is definitely. I think you need more context. Like, you know how grand larceny has context as to what makes it grand, right? So serious larceny or serious would have to be, there'd have to be some context as to what determines severity, right? Scale from which to measure.
I think requiring hospitalization would be serious. And
what if it's a feeble person?
Then don't beat them. Don't beat them up.
That's even worse. What if they have like an autoimmune disease, like you didn't even know, and it wasn't even the assault that hurt them; it was the freaking person that came to help them that got them sick. But because of it, all happened because of. I mean, I don't know. I'm being very all over the place, but there's gonna be. It's a place from which to start. Yeah, it's a place from which to start. That requires hospitalization. It's interesting. It's still very vague because people can fake. My back, I can't get up.
Yeah, they'll fake it to try and get the charge worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, Plankton getting the Krabby Patty formula. Remember that episode where you fell and tried to sue crabs?
Everyone's gonna be a soccer player overnight.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's so well said. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, take me to the hospital.
I'm blind, I can't see.
Yeah, I think changing it to assault might be the way to go. Should we allow removal for first conviction or second conviction for assault? Do they get one mistake?
I think more than one is important because we all make mistakes. And sometimes it's not an accurate representation, so it allows the wiggle room of the foe.
Yeah, like if someone else started the fight and you get charged with assault.
Mm-hmm. I usually give people three chances. Like in all my things, like at least minimum. I give too many chances, okay? I mean, too many is subjective, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm constantly, like, I just get exhausted with situations, and then I'm like, why did I let it come to this? Because I let it come to the point where it's just inexcusable, you know what I mean? So I think 3 is a good number because 3 is a very powerful number in general. It's indoctrinated in our programming just as human beings. 3 strikes, you're out. 1, 2, 3, go. 3, 2, 1. Ignition, takeoff, it's always with the 3s, not to mention hermetic or any type of numerological reference, sticking to the scope and scale and the purpose that we're here. 3, not being the magic number, is a sound number nonetheless that is embedded in the fabric of society and measurement as well. So I would propose 3 chances. Yes.
That's a lot for assault.
So the third time is, what does that mean? The third time, finito. So that's kind of giving them 2 chances. So on the third time, that's where the smackdown comes. So you get 3 chances. The third time you do that, boom. That ignites, that unlocks,
It says eligible too.
Yeah, eligible because they could depend on a history of all other things, though. Who is eligible depending on what? Yep.
Yeah, so it's not guaranteed. But
I agree.
Another thing, I have this article for the Removal Council, and it kind of is the opposite of the Immigration Council. I was wondering if the Immigration Council could do both, just to save on personnel a little bit and simplify the Constitution. That was another thought I had a while ago. Because it's kind of like the Immigration Council, but for kicking people out.
Okay.
So You could just combine them, but that's another thing for another day, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
So, is that a yes on all of those if we add those changes?
On the ones we've discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Aye. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah,
No, they say aye. Yeah. Yeah, aye. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, they're pretty good changes. I do like Article 2. Article 2 is nice. It has built-in gun control, which is kind of cool. Like, the gun control is written into the Constitution. And most mass shootings are done by people under the age of 25. So, by legalizing rifle ownership at 25, then we're going to hopefully prevent those from occurring. I think, men at the age of 18, they have their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their impulse control and aggression is a little high. So
I wouldn't know. I'll take your word for it.
it's true. Testosterone is one
I
hell of a
believe
drug.
you. I believe, well, but nowadays people can take testosterone. So at any age,
Yeah.
from bodybuilders and everything. So I think, you gotta take into consideration modern, like beyond natural biological, without getting canceled. Beyond regular development by way of biological means outside of external influence. Wow, that was pretty good.
No one here is gonna cancel you. We have free speech.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, that was pretty good. Like how I broke it down, like that was very specific and surgical to the point in representing it without it offending anyone.
Yeah.
Except those that aren't easily
there are
offended
people who
they get offended because I tried too hard. Touche.
I was about to say like no matter what, you're gonna offend someone.
Yeah, because even the ones that don't get offended will get offended because I'm trying not to offend. See how that works?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty. We could add something to Article 13. I don't know. Maybe burglary while we're all here. That was one thing I thought might be a fair thing to add. It's similar to grand theft, but at the same time it's not.
Lower end. Yeah, it's like below grand. It's that dollar amount, which I think is
Well, because the burglary is like grand theft, except there's a threat of violence too.
really, I thought burglary is lesser than grand theft because it's for less amount total of stolen goods.
I thought it's like when you rob a bank or a store. That's burglary.
Well, there's a breaking and entry involved. You're burglarizing. You're breaking an entry. You get another charge of grand larceny when you're... Well, you see, here's the thing. You burglarize something... Like, when you steal a car, it's grand larceny usually because it's over the amount, right? When you burglarize something, that means you break into it. But don't you break into a car when you steal it? So let's look up what the definition of burglary is. To burglarize something is to break into... let's see.
We can
Burglary versus robbery. So burglary, comparing theft and robbery to burglary. Unlike theft and robbery, the courts in California treat burglary as a property crime. Okay? Burglary is a property crime. Individuals should only face robbery charges if they enter a building, room, or locked vehicle while planning to commit petty theft or a felony. Interesting. The difference between robbery and burglary lies in how, where, and what happens. Burglary is a crime against a property. It's about unlawful entry into the property, even if the burglar walks out with nothing. Wow. In contrast, robbery is a crime against a person. Okay, so if you steal someone's cell phone, you're robbing them. It's robbery. If you're robbing someone of their money, if you're robbing them of their, if you're taking the car from them, get out of the car. Give me your car. Yes. Burglary is a crime against property. Unlawful entry into the property, even if the burglar... That's crazy. So just unlawfully entering something is burglary? You didn't even take anything.
Well, if you're like breaking a lock or something. Or if it's like trespassing.
Well, not if you break the lock, if you enter it. Yes, if you enter unlawfully, unlawful entry into a property is automatically a burglary. Obviously, you could probably get that charge. You know how they trump all the charges just so they could drop some and stick the ones they really want to stick you with is at the bottom of that list. And they design it that way, which is so annoying. Like, if you think of it, it's such an abuse of the law, but it's interesting. In what situation does a burglary crime? Each may change into another theft crime. Burglary becomes robbery when the person in the building becomes involved. Woo! While larceny could become burglary if the perpetrator breaks into a building. Okay, there you go. And adding the grand to it puts the dollar amount, which I think is over some 10,000. I think, I don't know. Very, very interesting, yes.
Yeah. See, like, all of these little distinctions are tough to put into a constitution directly. And some of these fines are a little bit low now that I'm looking at it. I feel like the fines should be higher for grand theft. Maybe petty theft should be 500. And then property damage, that fine is pretty low too. Maybe for property damage, we'll do cost of damage times 3. So then it scales up.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. Oh, you want to do some damage, do ya? Well, guess what? Thrice times what you've done.
Yeah, so if you do like $20,000,
like a bell. Yeah, so it's
$20,000 worth of damage.
Yep. You do 20 grand worth of damage, you're coming back 60 grand on the return. It can start with $100 from each paycheck from here until however long. Oh. Yeah. People have to learn. I mean, here's the thing. Like, these things get complicated when who's holding the gavel or who's making the decisions, because the corruption happens from the top, really.
Well, that's why it's nice to put them in the actual document.
Yeah.
So that's also, people know what to expect if it's transparent like that.
Yeah. No surprises. Better think twice before you snatch that phone out of your significant other's hands and throw it on the ground and crush it. You'll be paying 3 times. Yeah. Or the cost associated. Yep.
So what do you think about that? Property damage amount, fine times 3, grand theft 1,500, petty theft 500?
Yes.
Or
people are too apt to damage stuff. It's so annoying. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of these have restitution, which is nice. You could even have restitution for something like serious assault.
Good. I think that's important.
I mean, we could go all day with Article 13.
I know that's true. Like, you gotta, yep.
I actually put less time into that than you'd think. I put like maybe 2 hours into Article 13, something like that. I just kind of set it aside and said I would work on it later or make it better sometime, some other time in the future. So we could do like serious assault is like medical bills times 3.
That'd be interesting.
Person's so loud. One sec. Do.
We could have a 4th offense for public nuisance, $1,000 fine. And then you could say the public nuisance has to be the same. They all have to be related to stack like that. Or something. I don't know. We could brainstorm Article 13 more and come back to it later. But I think that's a pretty good start.
Yes.
So I guess that's all I really had planned for the meeting.
Okay.
Do you have any comments or suggestions or...
Yes, I think it's important at a meeting coming up sooner than later to gather everyone so we can and you get a start on the mission, vision, values. Because I think it's important to have this. You keep saying that you're struggling with the marketing and you need help. There are people who are able and ready. They just need a platform from which to grow, like something from which to create from. And it's important to have the mission, vision, values. It's very standard in creating a campaign or creative continuity in how you represent and market whatever it is.
Yeah. I have lots of marketing materials. I just don't have the views or virality.
Correct, because there needs to be cohesion and there needs to be strategy. Or you're going to find yourself regurgitating the same things, or you're going to find yourself it all not coming together into an initiative, and you'll miss opportunities. And what is your social media calendar? Are you creating to create? Or are you creating by way of a strategy? Strategy is what connects all your efforts and multiplies it indefinitely. And you can repeat it the next year cycle. So it's like you're growing it, and it will expound engagement. Yes.
Should I remind people of like the slogan or mission values every video? just to kind of like beat it into their brain?
Well, I don't think that's a very corporate, old school thing. I don't think that's the way with Arkology. I think, through developing your mission, vision, values, you're also going to target your ideal audience, right? And when you create that perfect example of ideal audience, character traits or whatever, I think personally, you're going to find that innovation is key here, not what's been done before. I think pulling from classic things like word of mouth, which is very Dale Carnegie, which is the most powerful means of advertising, in my opinion.
Yeah,
there's nothing greater than word of mouth. Okay, so drawing from there, you want to give something that someone can then pass on, or at least share the experience or share the material. And that being said, it's like you want to strike relevancy. What's going on in the world right now? Piggyback off of that. What events happen globally? I mean, globally. Not just globally, but what events happen. I think global is the way to go personally, and also nationally because of the American love. But globally to open up your target market, number one. Number two, you want something that you can piggyback off like annual things. We talked about this. It could be the World Economic Forum. It could be the holidays. Hallmark, Valentine's Day. Like, really wake people up, be part of the true awakening. And piggyback off that stuff, because there's already going to be energy around that. So why not join that discussion and steer them in a direction towards something new without being, thirsty, you know what I mean? Like being obvious about it. Like, why are you talking about this when we could be talking about this? Like, that's not well received. You want to be organic and authentic. And the only way to maintain authenticity when you have people, advocating for, Arkology is to have something from which everybody has the same understanding of what Arkology is, what it stands for, what the short-term goal is, what the long-term goal is, and what the values are, which are what it stands for, and also who the ideal market is, the person, your ideal person, and they can pull from that. When you say an ideal person, it's character traits. That doesn't mean it has to be all-encompassing. It could just be one representation of one character trait in the initiative. But then there's organization, and you can tap people to create things and to do things. You can have one video, and from it is born so many things. It can also drive the creative for videos you have yet to create, both short form and long form, and interact and pulling different people into the videos. For example, we've talked about interviewing people, having these things recorded, you know what I mean? And not doxing people, but just have stunts. You know what I mean? Get other people involved that like ALX, like send him to the freaking library and ask the librarian to define what Arkology is or something like what, something different, something fresh, something that's, it'll all come you'll get so much further if you have a strong foundation from which to build from in terms of your marketing. And also, just what is the core, what is the heart of Arkology? This is how you discover that. It's mission, vision, values. It sounds like a bunch of hoopla, but it's not. It's actually
Do you think something like a YouTube ad would be good? And then ask a question.
Correct.
Ask one or two questions right in the beginning to hook them?
All of this is, of course, always. This would be part of a larger campaign strategy. Yes.
You have to hook them in the first 5 seconds.
Actually, you have to go.
You have to go?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, thanks for stopping by and
See ya.
giving your input. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, we could try and do like a YouTube ad or something like that.
I think the first thing that needs to be done is the mission, vision, values, and then from there, anything's possible.
Right.
Yep.
The ad could start like, "Are you looking for answers? Are you confused by the world?" Oh no, wait, I screwed up.
It could be anything depending on the time of year. What do you want for Christmas? Freedom? Your time back?
Well,
your
you
life,
know how
in control of your own life? Like, that's what I want for Christmas. Like, it's something, if it's freaking Valentine's Day, you know what I mean? You would pose it around that. If it's, oh my gosh, Independence Day, hello. If you piggyback off that. It's the themes, thematic. But yes, you want to open with a
Well,
question.
you know how a lot of people on YouTube are like craving knowledge? That's why a lot of people are watching these podcasts and all these talking heads. Then you know that's what they're doing. So that's how you get them. You catch them with a question saying, "Are you looking for the answers? Well, we've got them." Are you looking for the answers? Give us 90 seconds and join us down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
Or even 60 seconds. You could say, give us 60 seconds of your time and we can change your life. That would be like the 5-second opener that would hook them.
Yep. Could be. All depends.
And then those 60 seconds could be our mission, vision, values. And
potentially. Would definitely speak to something around those lines, for sure.
Yeah, that's something we could do in like the next month. Something like that.
Yeah.
Imagine if everyone throws in $20, we could have enough for like 10,000 ads or something like that. 20,000 ads.
Oh my gosh. Jesus.
Whoa.
Zaire. 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 Oh my gosh. Yeah. Are we done? Is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap, yeah.
Zaire has spoken, okay?
he's announcing the end of the meeting.
He's announcing the end of the meeting. Come here.
All right. That's it. Thanks.
Yay. Thank you.